Ever wondered what the deal is with research papers? Why do so many high school and college classes put such an emphasis on writing a research paper or doing a research project? Likewise, why do those papers or projects have to have a persuasive or argumentative slant? I want you to think about what you've been reading and writing so far. You've done discussion boards that have discussed the ideas these writers have presented to the audiences. You've written a rhetorical analysis and a critique, which have explored the various ways writers use language to convey a message and to reach out to and persuade their intended audience. You've even reflected on your own writing, considering how you, as a writer, have thought about audience and the use of language to express your own unique perspectives. You know all about the various aspects of the rhetorical situation: author, audience, purpose, context, and even the text itself, and how all these things work together in an intricate sort of dance. You also know about rhetorical appeals as ways in which authors and speakers can best persuade their audience. Ethos, or credibility, helps the author build a sense of trust with the audience. Pathos plays to the emotions of the audience. I often think of the ASPCA commercial with the images of sad dogs and Sarah McLachlan's song pulling at the viewer's heartstrings. And logos, which appeals to our sense of logic using facts, figures, statistics, and other measurable or quantifiable things. These all have their place in academic writing as well, and skilled writers know how, and more importantly, when to employ them in their writing. But that doesn't answer the question, does it? Why is the research paper such a big deal? As you've probably noticed, as you gain more experience with taking college level classes, and this goes for those high school AP classes as well, that you're learning how to read and think and write in a different way. You are beginning to use a different kind of vocabulary and apply critical thinking skills in the things that you do. When you are discussing things for class and using a specialized language or lexis of a given field of study, we call that discourse. So as students in college classes, you are learning to navigate what we call a discourse community. You're adopting a different mode of reading, thinking, and communicating than what you do in your everyday life. Part of being a part of the college discourse community, or the academic discourse community, involves research. And what is research? It's not just thinking and writing critically. That is a big part of it, but it's also using evidence from reputable or credible sources to help support your unique perspectives. There should be some key words that get your attention there: evidence and credible. Well, that's logos and ethos right there, right? So when you use evidence from credible sources in your academic writing, you are taking part in what we like to call the scholarly conversation. Now, you may have heard a phrase, standing on the shoulders of giants. This is actually something Sir Isaac Newton wrote back in 1675. You know, the guy who came up with the law of universal gravitation when he observed an apple falling from a tree. Yeah, that guy. He wrote, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." When you think about it, that's what we're doing when we write research papers. We are standing on the shoulders of those who came before us in the scholarly conversation so that we can see further. And if we do it well enough, there might be people who come after who stand on our shoulders. And I just think that's an awesome thing. And we do this less formally as well. If you've ever been part of a really interesting discussion, you know what I'm talking about. Your friend or classmate says something that sparks something in you, and you respond building on what the previous person said. You are standing on their shoulders. That's the exciting part of being a member of the academic discourse community. It's this exchange of ideas and information that is helping us to make meaning in our brains and to build new knowledge. That is something nobody can take away from you. Nobody. So, research is a vital aspect of the academic discourse community. It helps us to make meaning and to create new knowledge, and hopefully to also grow as human beings. Of course, not all information from sources can be treated the same way in all cases. Sources in academic writing need to be credible. They need to be from reliable, trustworthy sources so that we too can be credible to our audience, right? I mean, which would you trust more? Research based on TikToks and tweets from the Kardashians, or that based on sources of people who've done lots of research and are respected in their field of study? I know it depends on the topic and the scope of such research, but I'd venture to guess that it is probably the latter. So research involves a lot of things, including the proper use of reputable sources. Now, I've posted some resources that will help you to discern between what's scholarly and what's popular. And we have a few required essays to read that will help in that realm as well. I'm thinking in particular about how you use Wikipedia and Google to your advantage as students. Most of you who are Gen Z and millennials are really, really good at searching for things on the internet. You're digital natives, and this is like second nature to you. However, a skill that you may be lacking is one where you can discern what sources are good to use in your academic writing and which ones might not be suitable. So the two essays that I've assigned to you will lead you in the right direction. Many teachers or professors frown upon the use of Wikipedia as a source. However, when it's used in the right way, it can be an excellent tool to jumpstart your research. The same goes with Google. The key is just knowing what sorts of things are good for your academic research, that is, credible and reliable, and that which might be better off for your own personal writing. When you think about it, in many ways, all writing is persuasive or argumentative writing. Even a song or a poem is indirectly persuasive because the writer is using language in a certain way to persuade you to viewing or experiencing the world in a certain way. Research is a particular form of persuasive or argumentative writing. You start with your unique perspective, an idea, a thought, a belief, or a feeling, and that develops into your thesis. And then you look for evidence from others out there, others who are respected in their fields. So you can prove to your audience that you're not a total wackadoodle, that you are, in fact, one of many wackadoodles who think this way. And many of those folks are really respected for what they do in life. So I want you to think about our big question for the term. Does technology make us happy? Your research argument will take a stance on that question. You will answer that question, yes or no. Think about it. This is stuff that you've been thinking about since you first read those articles, right? Maybe you came in with a certain idea about technology, and that's gradually changed. Perhaps one or a few of the authors have persuaded you to think differently. Or perhaps nobody has changed your perspective at all, and that's perfectly fine. What I want you to do is to show me with evidence from at least one of those articles and several of the other sources that you know what you're talking about here.